Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in again. Before I begin, I gotta apologize because definitely not looking camera ready, and I never actually do look camera ready, so either way, bear with me, please. Before I begin with, please subscribe to the channel, even if it's something I need to work on. Just write down a comment below so that way YouTube can push my content out more and I can help a lot more people. You might be interested in looking at different options, different ways to make passive income or entertain, whatever it is. But anyway, I'm gonna go over the two recent acquisitions I made, and of course it's related to real estate. These two deals I recently bought are almost wrapped up, and they're roughly creating about $800 of cash flow every month. Once I do have them rented out, because I actually don't close on one of the properties until tomorrow, and the other property I already closed on, but that property I've actually been taking quite a bit of time, and I've been fixing it up, remodeling it, whatever. I definitely should have hired a contractor or something like that, but you live and you learn, and I truly enjoy the process of doing the work myself. I get to learn. I get to turn an ugly property into a beautiful property, a property that's going to make someone feel proud that they're living in it, because it's nice, it's clean, it's ready to go, it's fresh, updated. So yeah, that property should be ready to go soon. Like I said, I've been taking my sweet time with that, especially because I work so much at my job, and I do try to work more than anyone else. I do try to take everything that comes my way. So yeah, finally gonna get to rent that one out, and the new property as well doesn't need too much work, should be ready to go within the next 2 weeks. Property number one, this property is a 2-bedroom condo with a 1-car garage, and this property will roughly rent for $1,400. The mortgage on this property is roughly around $550, but once I add in association fees that I have to pay, you're looking at around $750. That leaves us with $650 of cash flow. But in my mind, I know that's an imaginary number, because there will be maintenance. There will eventually be turnover, which means I will have to look for new tenants, which means I will have to probably paint some areas again, and just go over the property and make sure it's rent ready again. And it is time lost, so that's money lost. So like I said, that's $650 of imaginary cash flow. Once I do budget in for maintenance and vacancies, I'm probably looking at around $450 to $400 of cash flow. And I always like to stick to the lower number, because worst case scenario, it'll be on the lower number. And then if it does cash flow more than what I'm expecting, it's just icing on the cake. Property number two that I will be closing on actually tomorrow. We should have closed on this property, I would say, about 2 weeks ago, but the lender has changed the closing date like 3 or 4 times already, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're not ready to close by tomorrow. Property number two is a 2-bedroom condo as well. The rent I expect to receive on this property is $1,250 a month. The mortgage on this one is about $750 as well, and that includes the association dues of $200. That leaves me with a fantasy cash flow of $500 per month. But like I said again, I mentioned before, you always want to consider the vacancies, maintenance, repairs, because even if you don't get a repair in, let's say, a year of owning the property and you haven't had any issues, maybe by month 13, 14, whatever, the AC goes out, or just something that's a big expense. Well, you already budgeted, let's say $100, $150, $200 every single month for 12 months, and now pretty much have the money to pay for the air conditioning, and it's not coming out of your cash flow, it's coming out of that reserve. That necessarily won't happen, but you better account for vacancies, maintenance, repairs, because nothing is perfect and something will break eventually. But it's better to know that you got it covered, because you did your numbers right to begin with and you budgeted for all of that. So with a fantasy cash flow of $500, I'm probably looking at a cash flow of between $350 and $400. To me, the most practical investment, the one that makes sense and just anyone would pretty much be able to understand, is real estate. It's something technology will never be able to replace, and it's something that, you know, the average Joe would be able to understand. I do recommend you learn. You don't just buy a property and expect it to cash flow, because not every property will cash flow. Do your research, learn your numbers. The most important thing with real estate is doing the basic math to every deal. You do the math beforehand, before you buy the property, because you need to know how much it's going to cash flow before you even close on that property. If you buy a property and hoping you cash flow or hoping it's a good investment, then you're pretty much gambling. And if you're going to gamble, you might as well go to the casino or invest your money in the stock market, where it's less hands-on. The return should be smaller, but it definitely is more passive than real estate. To me, real estate makes the most sense because, like I said, technology won't replace it. Everybody needs a place to live. And there's multiple other ways of making money with it that comes with the cash flow. I invest for cash flow, but then you have appreciation. You have a depreciating property that you'll be able to write off. And you're also getting a mortgage pay down. So at the end of the day, you're actually making more than what your cash flow is. You're making a higher return. But you could easily see returns between 12 to 20 to 25% cash on cash return, which is better than the stock market, but it definitely is a lot more work in the beginning. But if you know how to structure your real estate investing as a business and have a team to help you do the stuff, you can't do this all by yourself. Eventually you're gonna have to hire guys to do the maintenance, repairs, to do the construction, to do the remodeling. You're gonna have to hire a management company. You're gonna have to have a team, because you can't do this by yourself. In the beginning, you might want to save a few bucks by doing it yourself, but ultimately that's not gonna work in the long run if you're trying to expand, if you're trying to grow, if you're trying to build an empire. It's definitely very worth it. But I do recommend you learn. And the most beautiful part is that you'll learn by watching YouTube videos, by watching my content, by smashing the like button. That was actually a pretty good shameless plug. Reading books, podcasts, audiobooks, whatever it is. I'm not a reader. I can't sit down and physically read a book. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I can't. I feel like I have ADD. I can't focus on the book, so I have to be multitasking. Audiobooks for me was the best. Like I said, all this content, all this stuff that you can learn, it's all for free. You don't need to buy that real estate investing course. I'm not saying that paying money for a course is a scam, because ultimately they do provide value and they're kind of there holding your hand, but the thing is, you don't need to pay that money. If you're on a budget, if you don't have the money for that, or if you rather just put your money into the investment itself, that's what I truly recommend. Do it for free, and then eventually when you want to jump in and learn more, you go ahead and you do the deal, and it's a learning as you go experience. I've definitely have learned a lot more from doing real estate than from reading books and watching other guys do real estate. The purchase price on property number 1 was $110,000. I negotiated with the seller to give me $3,500 at close to help with the closing costs, so that's less money that I got to put into the deal. I did conventional 20% financing. I think my down payment was around $24,000 on that one. I would say I'm between 18 and 24% on the return. And property number 2 is a property that we agreed on a purchase price of $90,000. with $5,000 back at closing. Again, the $5,000 back at closing are for closing costs, and hopefully I have enough money left over to upgrade the place a little bit. So on this property, I did 25% down. So you might thinking, oh wow, $50,000 to buy 2 properties to create $800 of cash flow a month. Really, $50,000 is not a lot of money. You might think that's a little bit too much money and that you'll never be able to save that, but in reality is everything takes time. I know my income is relatively good. I'm always putting in more hours, and I'm always looking for other ways to make money outside of work. So if your income is not there, if you're, let's say you're making $50,000 a year and you're only working 40 hours a week, well, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to work another job, or you're gonna have to find some side hustles to do outside of work. And this goes back to saying that it takes time. At the age of 20, I was really fascinated by real estate, but I did not invest until 24. So that gave me 4 years of saving money, finding ways I could make more money, and just moving up at my job. There's no excuses. If you're not making enough money, find ways to create more value to go out there and make more money. YouTube has so much content, and you can learn how to do anything on YouTube. You can learn how to fix a toilet on YouTube. If you don't know how to cut grass, look it up on YouTube and you'll learn how to cut grass. A lot of good side hustles to do is service-based jobs. People want to pay someone to help them make their life easier, and a lot of times, most of the time, those things are actually really easy to do, and you could charge a decent amount of money to do that, because like I said, people would rather pay for convenience than do it themselves. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys think that I messed something up, if you think that I'm doing something wrong, please comment below. If you have any questions, I try to answer them. I get fascinated, especially when it's about real estate. I try to answer those questions, and I can actually talk for days about it. You don't have to want to become a millionaire like me. You don't have to work 80 to 100 hours a week. But if you want to make like an extra $1,000 a month, extra $500 a month, I know that even an extra $500 will help anyone out. I don't care who you are. And thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, for watching. Like I said, support the channel, subscribe, like, comment. Talk to you guys on the next episode.